Hey guys, how's it going? I think we're live. We shouldn't be on a delay. So fingers crossed. It's all working fine. Thanks for your patience this evening as well. I was trying to start at 6, but ran into some technical issues, I would say. But we're here now, and we're ready to do some study. I'll just wait a few seconds, or maybe a minute, just in case. I want to make sure we get everybody here who is who wants to join, gets a chance to join and see some reviews. So I hope everyone's doing well. Shout out to Paddy Jim 67 on Twitch. So looks good on my end. I just want to make sure we've got the chat sorted so I can see that. And where's the pop out? Don't know. 1 second. Here we go. So pop out, and then we should have chat sorted. Brill. Okay. Well, I think we're good to go. So hello. Excuse me. Let's start again. Hello and welcome to today's stream. What we're going to do today is run through a series of marked hands from Sunday's stream. This hand is actually from the previous Sunday stream. I wanted to look at this in the last study stream we did, which was on Thursday, so 5 days ago. But I don't think we had a chance to go through it. So we're going to start with that one, pretty deep stacked in this spot. If you have any questions at all, please fire them into the chat. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, then just send a message on chat. I'll do my best to answer it. Trying to make this as interactive as possible. I don't just want it to be like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to explain what I'm doing, but then not actually get any sort of learning or study done. So I'm going to try and make it interactive, see what you guys think, and see what we can learn from these few hands. Going to go for about an hour and see how many hands we can get through. So first spot, we open up 2.5x button calls. So we go heads up. So I always like to think of these spots as like low jack versus button, 100 bigs-ish deep. What would we do on this particular board? So I think it's a pretty interesting spot about whether we should bet or check. I went for a big bet in this spot. I think it's probably okay. I think it's the kind of spot we're probably going to be doing a decent amount of checking, but we'll check that in the solver in a minute. Cool. The ace of hearts I think is an interesting card. I actually choose to check, which I want to check in the solver because I'm thinking that this is probably a pretty decent card for me overall. Given that I'm not going to be betting too often on the flop, so maybe a lot of the hands I bet might be like ace-x of clubs or ace-x of diamonds. Might be hands like ace-queen, ace-9. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the betting strategy looks like for the flop and whether the ace of hearts is a good card for us. So I decided to go for a check, and I'm not 100% sure on that. So I want to just have a look to see if this is the right thing to do. And on 2 of clubs river, I go for a bet, and in position folds. So I think we'll go through it in the solver and see what it says. And shout out to White Ninja Poker. We're just doing a study stream today, Ninja, so we won't be taking anything down today, but shout out to you. Thanks for your message. Let's go into Pio. Hopefully you guys can see this. I guess I should remind myself what the board is. Queen 9-5. Looks like this one. Shout out to Matt Saunders 91 for the follow. Guess I should turn the audio on so I can hear when they come through. Okay. So apparently the stream says it's in the money, bigger 27. Well, that's we failed miserably with that, didn't we? Let's really quickly fix that. And we can try again. Okay. Yeah, so this is a study stream. Apologies if you came here under false pretenses, thinking I was in the money in the bigger 27, which doesn't happen on a Tuesday. So yeah, hopefully that will be okay. Jack Rag 66, reasons you would bet turn, because I think it's a better card for us overall. And I think he can have a decent number of like ace-x or diamonds hands that continue, maybe ace-x with one diamond. And I think it's, yeah, maybe he's got ace-x of clubs as well. Although we did bet fairly big on the flop. So yeah, I think it's going to be good to look at for sure. Hopefully you guys can see me. So I'm looking at this other screen over here. So I'm going to move the mic over here a little bit so you guys can hear me better. So let's look at the flop strategy then. So we had queen nine of hearts, and you can see that it does go for that big bet. I did give it an over bet as well, which it's using a little bit of the time, but the most common size here is that big bet. But the biggest standout thing here is the amount of checking going on. So we did find a hand that does actually bet in this situation. You can see that aces and kings goes for a bet as well. But then there's a ton of checking with top set, second set, fives goes for more of a bet. And then in terms of the hands that we bet, so this is what I was saying earlier on about thinking why the ace might be good, is for us is that we do bet like ace-x of diamonds and ace-x of clubs. And you can see that happening a little bit here. So certainly with ace-10, a little bit of ace-jack. And then ace-6 as well, and then ace-5, spades and hearts, ace-4 diamonds, ace-3, diamonds and clubs, again going for the bet, and then some offsuit ace-x hands here as well getting bet. And there's obviously going to be more combos of these ace-x hands because they're offsuit rather than suited. Jack McCauley on YouTube, let's go Nerd Squad, love it. Okay, so Ninja on Twitch says, I think this c-bet strat is interesting. When we check, do they put as much chips in as Pio? Well, that's a good question. Let's have a look. So it's a decent amount of checking going on to the in-position player. And I would say that probably population plays a little bit more passively than this. Not sure, how often someone's going to be betting king six of hearts, for example, in this situation. We could definitely node lock this, but for the purpose of today's study session, we're just going to go with this solution and go from there. So we went for the big bet, and I think it's really interesting to first look at the ace-x to see, because I said, okay, the reason why I checked in game was that I thought that he could continue with a lot of ace-x, like ace-x of diamonds, ace-x of clubs, ace-x with a diamond, right? So it's certainly true with ace-king off with a diamond. Ace-queen obviously is top pair, top kicker. Ace-jack with the ace of diamonds. Ace-10 with the ace of diamonds. But it's happening less, and it's not... there's quite a lot of folding, basically. And then when we get to diamonds, obviously always going to continue. But if you look at the clubs there, ace in the bottom right-hand corner, ace-jack of clubs is starting to fold. Ace-10 of clubs looks like it's always folding. Same with ace-8. So actually the ace... That's why potentially the ace is going to be better for us, but we need to have a look at the strategy. It's just calling with a lot of these sort of hands that are connected in the middle. So yeah, pretty interesting to see. The turn card was the ace of hearts, I believe. Let's go back to the hand. It was the ace of hearts. So what does everyone in the chat think? Do we think this is a good card now that we've seen what the two strategies look like? Is this a good card for us? Should we bet, or should we be going for a check here? Like, is it too much of a scare card that we, don't want to quote unquote scare off our opponent? I mean, it's not something that I like. I don't like that expression. But yeah, and the solver's, very clearly never going to be thinking like, oh, we don't want to scare off the opponent here by betting. So let's go for a check. Just going for the highest EV line or the higher EV line if there are only two. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Are we going for a bet on this turn card or a check? Okay, so we've got some comments on YouTube for bet and on Twitch, high frequency bet after c-bet flop, I guess. So we looked at the two strategies, and we have more ace-x, and also with this particular hand we unblock some of those hands. I mean, ace nine and ace queen, obviously we block, but there are some ace x of diamond hands that we still get a ton of value from in this spot. Plus he's going to have occasionally like the ace king we saw with one diamond. But let's have a look at the solution. So the ace of hearts, and yeah, that's quite a lot of betting, I would say, overall. Let's have a look at the runouts comparison. 1 second. So the ace of hearts is a pretty amazing card for us out of position. Shout out to Josh Crockett for the follow. Let's just turn that down a little bit. Might have been a bit loud. Yeah, so 10, Jack, King, and Ace look to be very, very good cards for out of position. So we should, in theory, see more betting on those cards, but let's just see. So definitely on the Ace and Jack and 10 and the King. Yeah, so there's a lot more betting going on. So the better the equity, the more we want to go for a bet. And then with these cards that don't really interact with either player's range, we get to do a decent amount of big betting. So, for example, there's 19.7 big blinds in the middle. The most common bet size here with these low cards is probably geometric sizing, which is like 1.5x pot to then be able to jam for 1.5x pot on the river. But on an ace, we tend to use the smaller sizes, which is looking like 40 and 80%, roughly speaking. So yeah, plenty of betting here, and I think that's the biggest takeaway for me here is thinking about what the two ranges look like, recognizing them because we bet pretty sizable or pretty big on the flop, that he's not going to have like ace x of clubs. But in a way, I think in game, I'm not really even if he did have ace x of clubs, it'd be a reason to go ahead and to bet. Let's have a look then. Queen nine of hearts tends to go for the 1379, so it's around 80%-ish, I guess, 70-80%. And we're still getting a lot of value from Queen X and all of the ace X he's floated with. It tends to be like ace X of diamonds, as you can see in here, plus ace X with a diamond that it decided to float with on the flop. Still getting called by the Queen X, as I said. Not much we can do if we run into a set here. And yeah, I think potentially population is going to start overfolding hands like 9-7 of spades here. Let's have a quick look at the EV. Starting to get a little bit questionable. So yeah, I think population probably going to go for a fold now. So that, but yeah, having said that, like there's still plenty of other hands to get value from. So we've got all the flush draws and things in here. Interestingly, let's just have a quick look at this. So King 8 of diamonds starts folding, King 7 diamonds calls more, King 6 diamonds starts mixing between call and fold, King 5 of diamonds always calling pair plus a flush draw, King 10 of diamonds is a combo draw, as is King Jack of diamonds. So you're never going to see those hands fold. Their equity is just going to be so much better. You can see 42%, 36%, but then King 8 drops down to 29, King 7 clearly just has a little bit and enough to continue. Maybe we're bluffing with a decent number of 8x and not 7x hands in this spot, and yeah, I think that's pretty consistent there. So yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that looking at the how good that turn card is for us, and seeing how much betting there really is in this spot. Ninja on Twitch says, what if it went check, check? So let's have a quick look. And Queen 9 now, mainly betting, loads of different sizes to choose from here. So yeah, I think it must be 40, 80, 120, and maybe it's probably 30, 70, 110, 150. So yeah, mixing everything. But you can see that the most common bet sizes here are the small bet, which is this one, 30%, and 150, 1.5x pot. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Let's have a quick look at the equities. So again, it is the same cards, but I would say that they're not as standout as before. These numbers, like that, certainly in this region here, shout out to Evoel for the follow on Twitch, is yeah, these numbers were much lower. But yeah, you can see that it's very, we're still doing a lot of betting, although I would say less, much less so. I guess overall, like if we now have a look at Range Explorer, so this is when it went check, check, not the way that it went in game. Top pair, if we just highlight this so you can see it, out of position, 22.9% of the range is top pair, 17.7 for in position. So there's still got a lot of ace-x hands that they didn't bet on the flop, right? So that's pretty interesting, I think, to see and remember in that spot. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna go any further. Like I'm happy that the turn was there, the play to continue betting. Okay, next one then. We open sevens, small blind calls, check. I check back. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the chat. You guys always see betting here versus a small blind, or do you think it's more of a spot where we should go for a check? Evolution Retro Gaming on Twitch saying, evening Gareth, good evening, how you doing? Welcome back to the stream. If you're new to the stream, welcome. This is MTT Poker School. My name's Gareth James. What I'm hoping to do is to do 2 study streams this week. One today, obviously, this one. One on Thursday, same time, and then back for the playing stream on Sunday. So doing 3 streams this week, and yeah, we'll see how they go. JB on Twitch, I like the check versus the small blind. Okay. Ruben on YouTube, hi, thanks for the stream. Looking to get into low mid stakes MTTs again after not playing for 3 years. What do you think should be my biggest adjustments? Wow, that's a big question. If you've not really been playing for 3 years, I would say focus on the things that happen really frequently. So, you know, focus on your bread and butter spots, which is like raise first in, and defending the big blind, and then c-betting versus the big blind and defending versus a c-bet. Incidentally and interestingly, those are the first 4 modules in MTT Game Changer. So yeah, there are a couple of ways you could get hold of those modules if you were interested in learning more. You can go to mttpokerschool.com/gamechanger and sign up for group coaching. You get 4 webinars every single month, and you get access to different parts of the course depending on which tier you choose to join. But you can also buy the modules individually and together by going to classroom.mttpokerschool.com. So I'll do a quick drop there. I'll maybe talk about these links towards the end because I really want to talk about poker, these poker hands now. So the first one I put in there is Game Changer, and that's the group coaching. And then the second one is access to the course and modules. Okay. So the question came on YouTube from Ruben. My question is more what do you think has changed in population tendencies in the last years? Wow, that's a really good question. I feel like players are getting better at knowing the kind of ranges they're supposed to be opening. And defending from the big blind. We did go through a period of time where people were just defending all sorts from the big blind, and you still find players who do that. And then it just means that they're pretty straightforward to play against because you can see bet a lot and they fold a lot because they just have so many garbage hands. Obviously, it depends on the board for that. But yeah, I would say. It's a really good question. Maybe we can open it up to the floor, open up to you guys. What do you think are the biggest changes in the last 3 years in population tendencies? Twitch Ninja says high frequency bet. I think probably okay to check this combo. Okay, cool. We'll look at that in a minute. Small blind checks. This stage, I feel like this is just going to be a high frequency check back, but again, we'll have a look. I think we open ourselves up to getting check raised because we're really not really we don't have too many value hands that would check back the flop, right? Because if we had over pairs and top pair, we would value bet the flop. So I guess we're going to see some check backs with those hands, but it'd be the weaker part. So I guess we can value bet those hands, but we're probably just like betting too frequently, and the only real reason to bet is for protection. I guess we can get some value from flush draws, from straight draws, hands like Queen Jack, Jack 9. 9-7 suited if it flats, but we block that quite hard. But there's going to be hands like ace 3, ace 5, and as I said, flush draws, and even hands, depending on the sizing, we go here, we could get value from ace 4, ace deuce, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's an interesting spot. Be interesting to see what hands we check back on the flop that we then get to value bet on the turn. And then the river's another 10, and he checks once more. So at this point, I went for just under half pot. I'd like to see myself go actually half pot here. Not sure I only went 3, but yeah, he folded. So I think, yeah, it's not a fascinating hand, but I think knowing when we do get to bet is really, really important here. Jack on Twitch said, depends a lot on the buy-in. Above $20, think it makes a difference to player knowledge and tendencies. Okay, yeah, for sure. I think that's a fair comment. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. 1 second. 10-8-4. Okay, so first thing is then pocket sevens. Yeah, there's a decent amount of betting, but there is some checking going on here. Yeah, I would say, let's go to strategy, that we could bet and we could check. Doesn't seem, either play would be fine. Let's have a look at the response to this, because if we see that it's like super aggressive and the population's not playing that aggressively, then we could just go for a bet and not worry too much about the check raise coming. So yeah, I would say the population, are they raising 21%? Let's have a look at some of the hands. Ace 10 seems reasonable. Queen Jack, yeah, potentially Queen Jack with a combo draw and a backdoor flush draw as well. Yes, I think some of these are probably getting raised, maybe not all of them. 10-8, I think is reasonable. Pocket fours, yeah, and then 7-6 combo draws and double gut shots as well, and then some flush draws in here. I think this is probably reasonable, actually. So I don't know what you guys think. If you think population's check raising here like this in the small blind, maybe check raising a little bit less. Maybe it's something like 15% in this spot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I went for a check though. Deuce of hearts. He does a decent amount of leading now. He did check though. Sevens, which combo did we have? Let's have a look. 7 of spades, 7 of hearts. 7 of spades, 7 of hearts. Again, goes for the small bet or a check. We also wanted to look at what are the value hands we would have. And so you can see that we do some checking back with some 10x on the flop. Let's just go back to the flop. So yeah, there's a decent amount of checking back here. I think if you bet all of your 10x and then suddenly start checking back sevens, then when you get to the turn, it's really difficult to suddenly start betting it. So if you want to check this back and then bet it on the turn, you need to make sure that you're checking back some of these hands as well. Now, some of you might be looking at this and thinking, okay, we're not playing against someone who's going to check raise 21%, so the c-bet frequency is probably going to be close to 100%, and I think that's fine. I think that is an absolutely fine exploit against someone who's not going to be check raising enough. But I would say that if you're trying to play closer to what the solver does, and maybe you're playing against a player who's is very aggressive, then I think checking back 7 sometimes is good. Checking back some 10x hands in this spot as well is very, very good. Okay, so we did go for the check again, and the river was a 10 of something, 10 of diamonds. And he checks once more. So let's have a quick look at what his range looks like. So it's very sort of ace high and king high heavy. He's bluffing some hands for sure. So when he does check, you can see that sevens with 7 of hearts, 7 of spades does want to go for a bet here. Most common size is that half pot size. So yeah, I think it's I think we played the hand fine. Maybe there's not too much to talk about in this hand. I think the reason why I marked it during the stream was that I think it's important to find these thinnish value bets on the river. I think there's also a common misconception that thin value means you bet small. So I think it's really important to recognize that thin value here is just going wider essentially and thinner for value and getting called by more hands, right? So it's not just about like going super small and getting called by ace high and king high. It's about getting called by weaker hands. But I think when you're in position, it's very unlikely that the solver and good players are going to be betting any less than half pot at this stack depth. So when you're out of position, it makes sense with some hands to block because you don't get that option to check back. When you're in position, if you have the option to check back, it's what you should probably do with hands that don't meet the threshold for value betting. So I don't think you should suddenly bet like quarter pot on the river in position. Half pot is good, which is why I said I wanted to go closer to half pot. I bet 3 big blinds rather than 3.06. I think so. I can probably let myself off in this spot. But yeah, let's see what we actually get value from. Pocket threes, pocket sixes. We get jammed on with 10x, and we lose against. So we get raised by 8x, and then we get called by ace 6, ace 5, ace 3, ace deuce. So yeah, I think this is it's pretty interesting actually, because it is somewhat thin. You're really hoping for an ace high call. What are we bluffing for this spot? Let's have a quick look. I always like to go to the nothing hands first. They seem to be the ones that will stand out most for being able to bluff. So you can see 7-6, 9-7, Jack-9, Queen-9, Queen-Jack, Queen-Jack that we didn't decide to bet on any other street. So you will be betting some of these on flop and turn or flop or turn. And so you won't land like 100% of these hands on the river. You can see that if we take it off normalized, you can see that we land on the river with more 7-6 than Queen-Jack, for example. So yeah, I think if you have 7-6 on this river, 7 high is going to get a lot of better hands to fold. Whereas Queen-Jack, you're really targeting like some king highs to fold. So the weaker your hand, the more those better hands you'll get to fold. Let's just have a quick look again. Yeah, so we do get, when we're bluffing, we can get some ace highs, king highs, queen highs to fold. So if we've got 7-6, there's a lot of these hands above that will fold. Okay. So did anyone have any thoughts about what the tendencies are that have changed in the last few years? Let us know in the chat. And whilst you're typing and thinking about that, we're going to move on to this next hand. So I haven't looked at the solver response, but I looked at this hand when I was setting it up, and it's probably one of the worst hands I've ever played. So let's see what happens. We limp, we get raised. I think it's pretty standard. Defend. He goes quite small actually, 3x, 40 bigs. 8-7-3 check. He bets, and I'm sure everyone watching this is just going, okay, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward, pretty obvious what we do here. We fold, we move on to the next hand. But that wouldn't make it very interesting to study now, would it? But the reason why I thought it was a poorly played hand is because I called flop, and this just looks just a little bit too sticky. Like, I think it's good to be sticky. I think it's good to make life hard for your opponent. Calling with this hand, though, is just a bit spewy, a bit punty, a bit just not very good. I like that we have a heart in our hand, but I prefer if we had king 6 off with the king of hearts, I think. But we'll see in the solver. Maybe I played this hand fine, but looking at it already makes me think that maybe I didn't. Okay, so we check on the 10 of hearts. Opponent goes for a bet, and I decide we're the gut shot and a flush draw to call. We'll see this in a minute as well. See if this is any good. I don't know if what you guys think about this. Whether you like it so far or you think it's terrible. You can be honest. Like I already think that it's not very well played. So yeah, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Jack on Twitch said, these are the hands that lure us in. Learning to resist temptation is a skill. Yeah, for sure. I think this is a good example of where like a flop mistake can compound later on, because we catch a big enough piece to continue on the turn, and then we completely brick, and we're like, well, what do we do now? Are we supposed to bet are we supposed to jam as a bluff? Like what's going on here? He then bets and we fold. So let's have a look at this. Nick on YouTube saying, I don't actually mind check raise on the flop. Okay, cool. Let's Let's see what the solver says. Again, let's remind ourselves, 8-7-3 board. And okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is that I don't think I've set this sim up correctly. In fact, I know I haven't set this sim up correctly because there's no way that I'm playing 100% of these hands. So what I've done here is take the range rather than strategy, or the strategy rather than the range from the pre-flop solver. So what we're probably going to do is abort mission on this hand. We'll talk about this hand on Thursday when I've run the sim correctly. Yeah, maybe we can, just wait 2 days to see how badly I played this hand. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, and so I think this is, there's maybe one more hand after this for us to look at. Defend pre-flop with king 3 off, check. Our opponent goes for a half pot bet, which this stack size is probably not a thing. I think I think it's quite straightforward to go for a two size strategy here, going for a small bet or a big bet, and on this board probably going more big bet. This board has to be better for us. I actually wonder if we go back to our action here, how many of you are deciding to lead this flop, because we're going to have all the straights, right? 6-5 suited, 6-5 off. Our opponent doesn't have 6-5 off. They might even open 6-5 suited from this spot with the cutoff on 16 big blinds. We're going to have ace-5 here, ace-5 off, ace-5 suited. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think they open ace-5 off. They can have ace-5 suited. So it might be a spot. What do you guys think? Do we like leading on this flop? But as I said, going back to his bet size, I think he can go small or big, and I think on this board he's probably going to go big bet and check. What I did with the solution with the solver is only gave it one bet size, simply because if we start giving it like 3 bet sizes, let's say we go small bet, which might be like quarter pot, then half pot, and then like a geometric sizing, then all of a sudden it'll start putting strategies down all of those branches of the game tree. So we might not get to see, what he's really betting for half pot. And I think, when somebody bets half pot here in a spot where I think they can go bigger, I think it's just that's their standard, right? They just go half pot. And the other thing is he also bets the same size on the turn. So I think it's going to be good to to see if that's the case here. So I'll just go for a check call. We turn 2 pair, check. He goes for another half pot-ish bet. And I posted this hand in my Facebook group. And just asked for some feedback. What did everyone think? And most people were saying that they go for a check call and then they would lead river, which I don't know. It didn't make too much sense for me here. I think this is a pretty standard spot to just go for a check jam. The reason I marked this during the stream on Sunday was that I got some feedback. They were saying, why are you check jamming? Like he's going to start folding. Someone even said that they thought he would fold ace king in this spot. I don't think that's happening at all. I don't think any king is getting folded. And so I think this is just a spot to check jam. Jack on Twitch saying, I think leading is good as he can check back so often. Yeah, I think he's going to check back reasonably frequently on this board. Again, as I said, I gave him only that half pot sizing on the flop. Again, that's not something that I really like to do. Just give someone one bet size because that's just, I don't think that's good. I think we should be looking to see, is it a small bet or big bet spot? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it's, big bet and check. You want to be able to make those sort of distinguish the boards you're going to do that on. So yeah, as I said, I've kept it to one spot, so it puts more of his range down that game of the branch of the game tree. So yeah. Nick on YouTube saying ace king never folds. Yeah, I don't think any king is going to bet fold this turn. Yeah, we should be having some 5x and 6x of spade hands that can jam. I think check jam here as a bluff. So I don't think a king should be folding here. Jack on Twitch saying, shall we go for all in? Yeah, that's what I did, and he folded. Is'll do a one poker. Thanks for the follow on Twitch. So I don't know when people watch streams how much of the feedback you get is based on results. So when he folded, the feedback was, "Oh no, he's going to fold a lot of King X hands here. We should, we shouldn't have checked jam. We should just check. We should just go for a check call and then get him to bluff on the river, because he's going to rep. He's going to continue to rep the king, for example." But obviously, like if I check jam here and he calls with king queen, I don't think I'm getting that feedback. So I think it's really important to not be results orientated, but also have a look at what the solver says for this spot. Dustbin Daily on Twitch saying, "Evening, pal. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back." Let's have a look. Nick on YouTube. If this guy just keeps half potting, shouldn't you wait and check raise river? Yeah, I mean maybe. Let's have a look. 3 4 3 2. Interesting. That is very interesting, because I thought I'd set it up so that we could donk on that flop. So again, I'm going to make a note to revisit this hand on Thursday to see if we do some leading, because obviously that's going to change everybody's strategy, because we actually have some leads and we check other hands. But I just set it up to pure check, so yeah, we'll come back to this one. But you can see that if he goes for a half pot size, that's the only size he has apart from a jam, then he mixes and does quite a lot of checking in this spot. So he bets, and we had king 3 off. And you can see that's very much a pure call. Not a huge amount of raising on this spot, on this board versus half pot, 10%. So raising pretty high equity hands, and then lower equity hands, I guess, as well, that can get a lot of better equity hands to fold. So, for example, you can see 8-6 off, not very high equity. It's raising those hands, but then hands like 6-5 obviously is a straight, but 5-4 just really high equity, pair plus straight draw. Let's have a look at the strategies again. A little bit of raising with 6-5, but 5-4 was the big one. Set of 3s, set of 2s as well. Set of 4s just goes for a call. 5s and 6s goes for the raise. They have pretty decent equity, I think, as well. 63%, 67%. So, yeah, really good to see that the solver is really pushing the equity in this spot. So we did go for a call. Now, obviously, some of this will change once we allow flop leads. King of spades, then. We actually do some leading on this board, but mainly just going for a check. Let's have a quick look. So, yes, it was yesterday in the MTT Game Changer webinar. We started to look at which turn cards are going to be good for us to lead. So I'm going to open up to you guys. Which do you think are the best cards for us on the turn? So we check called the flop on a 4-3 deuce rainbow board. Which turn cards do you think are going to be the highest lead for us? Is it going to be like a 5 or a 6 or an ace that completes the obvious straights? Is it going to be cards that pair the board? Is it going to be low cards, or is it going to be high cards? What do you guys think? Just let me know in the chat really quickly. Okay, so JB said paired cards, yeah, when the board pairs. Dustbin Daily, 3 would be a good card. Nick on YouTube, I know ace is usually good for in position, but would it be better for the out of position player here? Maybe because they got more 5x. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good to see. Jack on Twitch, 6, 7, and pairing cards. Okay, cool. Let's find out. Bobby on YouTube going for low cards. Yeah, cool. So as you can see, an ace looks to be pretty good for us. A 5 and a 6 looks to be very good for us. And then hands that are not very good, or cards, sorry. 10, Jack, Queen, King. So you'd expect to see some leading on a 5, a 6, and an ace potentially when we click strategy. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So the highest equity cards here, the ones that are going to get led most frequently, you can see a 6 is a real standout card for wanting to lead in this spot. A 5 gets led for the big sizing, 6 gets led for the small size, and the ace as well gets led for the big size. So the ace and the 5 mixing between big bet and check, and the 6 just go for it, guys. Just go for lots of leads. But again, like just marrying it up to the equities, standout cards, something different's going to happen on those cards. All right. Okay, so we check, and again, like I said before, I only gave him this one bet size. It's something I don't like to do. I see other people do it, and it makes me cringe. But the reason I've done it, just in case you've joined the stream late, is that if we start giving them, say, 3 bet sizes on the flop and 3 bet sizes on the turn, we start to fire different parts of the range down different branches of the game tree. And I feel like this player is probably just a player that likes to bet half pot on every street. Okay, so they did bet, and this is now our strategy. And you can see that the 2 pair hands do just like to check jam here. King 4, King 3, King 2. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my check jam. No king's supposed to fold, so that was one of the questions on the stream. Like, oh, I can, ace king might even start folding. Now, it seems ludicrous to think that, but very often when you're in position, you bet flop for whatever reason he calls, then you bet turn, with top pair, top kicker, and a gut shot. And then you get jammed on, you're like, well, I'm not thrilled here because, very often that check call, check jam line is going to be very, very strong, right? And so it is important to know your opponents. I still don't think you should fold. But let's just have a quick look and see, because I said before, it was like 5x of spades, 6x of spades, those combo draws that we can't call that frequently, so we decided to check jam them instead. Let's pull this up and have a quick look. So am I right? Okay, yeah, decent amount of combo draws here, I would say. That basically all the 5x of spade hands, 6-4 of spades is pair and a gut shot and a flush draw. I mean, that's just a ton of equity. I'm really surprised to see that go for a check jam. Shout out to John Rakari for the follow on Twitch. Yeah, really surprised to see that go for a raise. And these other ones as well, 6x of spades. Queen 6 just goes for the check call. The nut flush draw just goes for the check call as well. Equity wise, this will be pretty decent, I would say. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this 6-4 is actually raising for value, reaches a threshold where it's like, actually we can raise for value. We've got so much equity, 55% equity, but that's just against his betting range. Not necessarily once we jam and he calls. But yeah, clearly it's making more money. Let's just confirm that. Let's have a quick look here. 6-4. Yeah, interesting. 6-4 of spades is making more money as a jam. Yeah, cool. That's what we thought. Okay, so we got to combo draws. Let's look at flush draws. Flush draws mainly just going for a check call. And 8 out straight draws. So we're finding some raises with 5x. These are pretty low equity hands at this point, I would say. So let's have a quick look. Yeah, so, you want to bluff in this spot so your opponents aren't just going to fold their 1 pair hands. So you want to kind of be aware that this is a situation where players might get a little bit like monsters under the bed. If you've watched the stream at all, you know that I definitely suffer from that in the sort of the lower end of buy-ins, because you very often see 2 pair. You don't see like 10-5 of hearts sometimes, or 10-5 of diamonds, or Jack 5 off. Like, yeah, just doesn't happen that often. So I'd say, yeah, population is sort of low and low end of mid stakes. They're not finding those bluff raises, so that's why you need to be a little bit cautious. But similarly, you want to be this guy, right? You want to be the guy finding those check jams with these hands. So yeah, that's good to see. What about value hands? Let's have a look. So the straight just goes for a check call. Sets goes for a raise now. 2 pair going for a raise. I suppose if we got all of those bluffs, we need to make sure we got some value hands as well. So we've got sets and 2 pair. Straight's just way too strong to want to jam. Some top pairs getting raised, but a lot of top pairs just going for that check call. Some of these top pairs are going to have, like these ones down here, going to have pair plus gut shot or pair plus straight draw, like 8 out straight draw. Second pair is going for a check call. So yeah, I think that's good to see. Straight's going for a call, sets 2 pairs, and some top pairs going for a raise, and then everything else just going for a call. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is these combo draws, which is exactly what we thought was going to happen here. So it's think about your entire range rather than oh, we jammed and he folded. Like sometimes we're going to jam like 7-5 of spades and he's going to fold and we're going to look brilliant. But yeah, cool. Anyone got any thoughts on that? Or are we good to have a look at the next hand? That was the last one, but there was just one where I talked about this in the last study stream about sweeping the floor. The idea or concept that, well, I guess it is idea, that you should just continuously do things that seem really trivial and really easy, simple, straightforward, that maybe you haven't done much of recently. So I've been doing a lot of post-flop stuff. I've been doing a lot of ICM. I've been doing lots of multi-way stuff. So then this hand came up, and I was like, do you know what? I'm a little bit unsure what we're supposed to do. So this guy raises off, say, 17 bigs, folds to us with Queen Jack suited. Some of you are going to say this is a very easy spot. Some of you be like, actually, I'm not really sure. So in this situation, we have an okay-ish hand, but we have 0 fold equity. This guy has raised into 1, 2, 3 shortish stacks, which might affect his range somewhat. But yeah, so I just wanted to have a look at this situation. It's a very simple one, and it's I'm almost embarrassed to need to run it. But I thought it was a good example of how many times do you really sit in the lab and study like having 5 or 6 big blinds facing an open. Like it's just something that doesn't happen very often. I've certainly not done it for a very long time. So I think it's good to have a look now. Yeah, what do you guys do here? Easy jam, easy fold. What have you got? Let me know in the chat. Okay, a shout out to the Saint77 for the follow on Twitch. Paddy Jim on Twitch saying, are we in the money, near the money? We're not close to the money. I can see 400, 800. Very often money's around 1,000 in some or most tournaments. I don't think we're close to the money. So yeah, it's not really factoring into the decision here, I don't think. JB, I think fold because without fold equity, I don't think Queen Jack is a very good hand. Jack on Twitch, 5 big blinds probably have to jam suited. If we had 8 big blinds, maybe we get to fold. Marius on Twitch saying easy jam. Let's have a look. Bobby saying call. Edvin on YouTube saying snap jam. Nick saying jam all day. Bobby saying easy call. Chippy V jam for sure. Sorry, I didn't see stack size, easy fold. Suited and straight possibilities. Okay. Ninja, this short, I think we go with it. So it is quite interesting, right? So I thought I was just going to get absolutely hammered here. They'd be like, yes, it's an easy jam. Why is it even in here? Or the flip side, it's a very easy fold, right? But it's clear that there's not a general consensus. We've got folds, we've got calls, we've got jams. I think we can rule call out here. So if we just simplify it and just go for jam or fold, I think it is going to be interesting to see. So let's pull it up in HRC. I thought this was also a good way for me to show you how to run these spots in HRC if you are not familiar with the software. Okay, so we're going to go to view hand details. This is what normally comes up. You can click this little button to copy the hand history. And hopefully you can see this. And we're going to do an advanced hand. We could do Monte Carlo here to then look at things like card removal and put in other players' ranges. But for speed today, I'm just going to do advanced hand up here, not a Monte Carlo hand. Let's go down here where we're going to choose Chippy V, no ICM considerations. Then we're going to click next, and just remind ourselves really quickly, he made it 2.02 big blinds and it was extra malice. So let's go back to HRC. Take off this. We just want to see if we can jam or fold. So extra malice raises in this spot. And now what we need to do, so I'll just do this again because it was quite quick. What you can do is you can actually speed up the sim by not having a look at what everyone else does. So extra malice raises, and we're then going to go and put in what we think his opening range looks like in this spot. So he was in the low jack. Okay. So I'm going to put a range in, guys. You can tell me if you think it looks good. About 21% of hands. Just a quick reminder. This, raising from 17. Maybe it's a little bit, he might start jamming some hands, I guess. But yeah, if you think that's totally wild, let me know in the chat. Let's have a look. So some comments here. Dreamer85 on Twitch saying go all in. Jack Rag, he's raising from 17 bigs into short stacks. What is he raising? Looks pretty strong. Paddy on Twitch, I'm folding, waiting for a spot where I have fold equity. I look like high hands 87 little brother. There you go. Well, thanks very much. What an honor. Jack Rag, think he jams some hands. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with this range, and then what you can do is just get it to fold until U, and it's just gonna speed up the calculation massively. So as you can see, we're already done. Ta-da! And here is the solution. So Queen Jack suited, I did fold in this spot. So clear, very, very clear mistake. If he is opening 20%, we'll adjust that range somewhat in a minute. See, I'm not trying to prove that this is a fold by any means. Just want to learn, just like you guys. So yeah, very clear mistake here from me. That it's just a pretty straightforward jam. Interesting though, like it's not too far off. Jack 10 suited suddenly goes for a fold. Queen Jack off, definitely not going all in. So yeah, we want to have high equity hands here. Just to prove that we have no fold equity, you can see that the solver's going with exactly the same number of the same frequency of hands, 20.8% here, as he did open. So yeah, big mistake here. How tight does his range need to be to make a fold? Let's just, let's take out a few hands. I don't think of course, like his range could change here because like he's jamming some hands, but let's just see if we can tighten it up somewhat to 16%. Queen Jack suited now, still a jam. I mean, it's quite marginal, but we can't really be waiting around too long. So I think I would still go with this hand. So he'd have to be opening even tighter than 16% in this spot for us to consider folding Queen Jack suited. Nick on YouTube says take out 8x from his opening range. I don't think he's opening King 8 and 10 8 in this spot. Let's have a quick look. Oh, you think he just folds those hands? Okay, fair enough. We could take those out. Have a quick look. Run the sim again. Okay, well, Queen Jack suited is going to suddenly start disappearing. So yeah, I mean, you can just see how important it is to have a good idea about what this guy is actually opening. I'll go back to the hand. So, it's always good to like, okay, this is, 20 bigs. Let's go for the sort of quote unquote GTO frequency there, which is about 21%, I think. We saw Queen Jack suited, very easy jam. Big mistake from me not to jam. But if he's a particularly tight player, or you feel like he's not opening that wide because maybe he jams some hands, then yeah, I think all of a sudden things are going to change. I guess we should try putting this back in and having a look at what happens when we start mixing his strategy. So maybe let's go in here. So let's say instead we'll go for this this range. 1 second, just put this in. But maybe he starts, maybe he jams like some of this in here. He jams ace queen. Maybe we can start weighting some of these hands. I think this would be reasonable. Maybe he starts, jamming 7s and 6s sometimes. Yeah, I think this is. I think it looks okay. So let's have a look at the solution now. Queen jack suited again, pretty marginal, but again, I don't want to be. We can't pass on this. I don't think. When we only have like 6 big blinds, if it was like this amount when we had 15 big blinds, then I would be happy to make a fold. But yeah, I think it's a good learning point. Pretty. I wouldn't say it's a big mistake, but it's a mistake. We should be jamming in this situation. But I think it's really interesting that we got such polarizing responses there. Some people saying jam, some people saying fold. A few people said call. So I think, it just goes to show we've got to work out exactly what he's opening. Look at the situation. Look at the fact that he's opening into 2 relatively short stacks. And us as well, so we know that he's never folding against us. So he has a hand that is, good enough against our jamming range, whatever we choose to jam. So, yeah, I think we could argue that he's maybe opening a bit tighter than what we had, but I think that final range was pretty good. I'll just bring it back on. So like jamming these suited broadways, ace queen off, some ace jack and king queen, and ace 9 suited maybe, and then min raising the rest, and then min raise calling like the top. Like 6s plus, ace king, these suited aces, king queen suited as well against these 2 players, I think, and then not sure, 100% sure against the button. Cool. Okay. So that's all the hands I've got for today. I'm going to be back again on Thursday, exactly the same time, 60 minutes at 6 for some more study. If you haven't done so already, hit that follow button on Twitch, and so you get a notification about when we go live next. Push the ducks, shout out to you. Thanks for the follow on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the bell button as well to be notified. John Jeffrey, thanks for the follow on Twitch. And shout out to everyone who turned up today for this study stream. It's the second one we've done like this. I did do one with a man in the chat, White Ninja Poker, maybe even a few months ago now. See if we can get him back on at some point. I know that he plays on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so it might be pretty tricky. But we're going to try and continue this, have that consistency throughout November of stream on Tuesday and Thursday. And yeah, I think there was a lot of things to take away here. I'm going to, open myself up for criticism. This is how you get better, right? And I am going to show you where I've made mistakes and where I'm learning from those mistakes, and so you don't have to make them in the future. All right. But as I said, follow on Twitch. Shout out to Justin for the follow on Twitch, and follow on YouTube and subscribe and do all of that cool stuff. And I'll see you again on Thursday for more 60 minutes at 6. See you later.